Hello, and welcome back to the Tea and Soju Sea Drama podcast, your safe spot for sea drama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Legend of the Female General. But before we get into that, just some housekeeping. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen on. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link is in the episode notes. So, to review this drama with me, I have Laura, back by popular demand, Laura, because believe it or not,
Hardly.
no, I'm not joking. The episode we did together, C dramas for beginners or questions from a C drama beginner, is actually one of my most popular episodes that we have on the podcast, and people love
Oh, really?
having you on the podcast. Yes, I'm being
Oh,
very, very honest here. So, if you haven't heard that one, it is up on the podcast. But Laura, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
sure. My name's Laura. I am a Scottish mum of two and a music teacher. And I also have a little TikTok on the side where I talk about Asian dramas and K-pop and whatever else really takes my fancy.
Mhm.
So you can find me on TikTok at C_drama_mama. And yeah, I discovered Asian dramas about just over a year ago now, like nearly
Mhm.
a year and a few months ago. And Tea and Soju was one of my first sort of the first places I found a bit of community. So I'll always be grateful for that.
Oh, thank
And
you.
the rest is history. That is it's kind of it's my life now. I can't remember the last time I watched a Western anything.
Me either. Me either.
Yeah,
Like
but it's nice here. I like it. I want to stay. So
it's
here I
very,
am.
yeah. It is very, very nice here. Very, very nice. And like I said, Laura came on the podcast for season 3, and we did questions from a C drama beginner. And that was a lot of fun. I should have looked up what episode that is, and I can't remember. I'm just bringing it up. Hopefully I'll be able to find it quickly. But there's a lot of episodes.
There is. You've been
So
working hard. You've been working hard.
yeah, but I don't think it was that far to ago, because I think it was like one of the first episodes that I released for season 3.
I feel like it was
Oh,
like
there you go.
January. It was like January or
Yeah.
February, wasn't it, this
No,
year?
yeah, it was released on January 15th, and it's episode 112. So
There you go
there
then.
you go. So that was a lot of fun. And believe
It
it or not, when
was.
I did the wrap up for season 3, and people sent in their like one of their favorite episodes and whatnot, what yours was one that like kept coming up quite a few
Oh, that's
times.
so nice.
Because I think people just enjoyed it. First of all, you had really good questions. Like you had really good questions
Well,
to
you
the
don't give a
point.
teacher homework and expect me not to
It was
deliver.
great. It was great. I loved it because you honestly had really good questions. And like I said, like for me, I've been watching since like 2018. Like I am definitely not a beginner anymore. Like yeah, it's been a few years. So I don't remember a lot of the things that I kind of made me wonder back then about, oh, what is this or what is that, or things that I'd look up to me are just kind of like second nature nowadays. So it's, not necessarily something that I end up even thinking about whenever I'm
Yeah.
watching a drama. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. People kept saying, "Oh, maybe you should do like a second part." And I'm like, "I'm not really sure like if we can. I'll have to ask." And then I kept forgetting. I'll have to ask Laura if she has any more
I'll need to
questions.
think of some more questions now. Oh, God, that's pressure now. That's pressure. I'll need to think of good questions. You need to give me some time to think of some good
Oh,
questions.
you're fine. You're fine.
Because it's
So,
C dramas for semi-beginners, C-dramas for
Semi-beginners, intermediate. Like, because the thing is,
intermediate. Yeah.
it's like, when do you switch from a
When do you
beginner?
graduate?
Yeah, when do you graduate to the next category? Like, I don't even know. Like, even that alone is a very interesting question. Like, is it after you watch a certain amount? Because there's no metric for this. So
No.
it's just like, is it after you watch a certain amount of dramas? Is it after, you've been watching for 2 years, a year, whatever it may
And it
be? So it's
depends. It
like,
depends how much you watch too. Like I think it's probably
exactly.
probably took me about a year to get really fully into the swing of it and understanding like some of the things that are different about. I mean, now I'll watch a drama and like you can predict things are going to happen, or
Hmm.
you understand little cultural things that are going on in the beginning.
Hmm.
Like even you know, it's really funny. I went back and rewatched Hidden Love.
Hmm.
I sometimes I'll stick on something like as I'm blow drying my hair, and
Yeah.
so if I do that, I'll put on something that I've watched before so that I'm not missing important things. It's just
Hmm.
like something to be
Hmm.
on in the background. I went back and rewatched Hidden Love, and even doing that, there were things watching it again because it was only like the second or third drama or something that I watched.
Hmm.
Going back and watching it now, there's things I even picked up on the second watch that I now understand that I
Yeah.
think I didn't in the beginning.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
No,
I
makes
think it just,
sense.
you do get into the swing of it and understanding
Mm.
just the way it kind of works, and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
little cultural things that you miss the first time round because you're just learning.
Mm. I will say, I wish I never got to the point where I can pretty much predict like
Yeah.
90% of the shows. Because it does make it like a little, I don't know, it scrapes a little bit of the enjoyable aspect of it if you can sort of predict. Sometimes it's nice
It's
if you
like
can predict
comforting.
it.
You're like,
Yeah, it's comforting,
yeah.
but I also love, but it also does mean that when a show goes in a completely different direction, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Because I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's nice. Um, so yeah, it is what it is.
Even
But like I
I'm
said,
even I'm getting a bit like that now. Like there'll be like those moments where, you're about halfway through the drama and suddenly everything's all really nice and I'm like, oh, everything's a bit nice.
it's
What
too
something's
nice.
then your
We're
spidey senses
too,
start to tingle.
yeah,
You're like, oh, something's
we're
gonna kick
too
off here.
early on for this
Yeah.
to be too nice.
You're like looking up how many episodes there are and you're thinking,
Nope.
yeah, something's gonna go
Stuff's
down.
about to hit the fan because
Yep. Yep.
it's too nice right now. It's too nice. It's fun to think that, for example, it's really fun when you've been watching for a few years and you start to like recognize patterns in yourself and like things shifting. So, for example, when I first started watching, I was very much a modern type of, I loved modern romances. That's what I was signing up for. And then now, almost 7 years later, I'm like, give me all the historicals, give me all like the heart-wrenching stories, and I'm here for it.
I think I'm probably the same actually, or at least this year. Like, I think in the
Mhm.
beginning probably was leaning more towards the moderns, but I would say this year I've watched more historicals than I have modern
Yeah,
dramas. I don't know why, but the historicals have been good this year though too. They have.
they
There
have,
have
they
been some
have,
good ones.
they have, they have. I don't think like I was vaguely looking at my top dramas, and I don't think I possibly have one modern drama in like my top 10 or whatever. But apart from that, I think mostly everything is historical in
Yeah.
one way or another. And that actually leads us nicely. And so just before we get into like the review and things, I like to ask guests, what have you been currently watching? What have you been, what's been on your list lately?
My list.
Hmm.
Well, I just started last night when Destiny Brings the Demon.
God. Oh my
Because
God.
because I've been watching you watching it and I've been thinking like this, yeah, I need to get on this. So I've only watched
Oh.
one episode, but I'm getting onto that. And I've been meaning to watch also Our Generation, which I thought I would watch it over
Mhm.
the summer when I was on holiday, but
Mm.
I didn't get around to it and you're not keen. Were you not
I
keen?
have qualms with that
You
show.
have
I have
qualms.
qualms. So originally to the point where I started watching it and I have quite a few notes for it. And originally I was going to review it for the podcast for season 3. And then I dragged my feet and I was like, I'm not gonna review it at all in season 4. So I am gonna review it, but it's gonna be like a Patreon review. And
Hmm.
it is going to be like in September. So by the time you guys listen to this episode, it'll be October, but we're recording it in September. And so yeah, I will like review Our Generation, but it's going to be for Patreon over it being for the main podcast, just because they made decisions and I just wasn't keen on the decisions that were made. Let's put it that
Some
way.
poor decision
Um,
making.
yeah, and the thing is, the problem being that I know this couple has chemistry. They've worked together before, and that's why everybody was so excited to see them again. It is definitely a writing problem, and it's kind of
Mm.
like a biggish writing problem. And yeah, I don't
That's
know
a
what to
shame
tell
too,
you.
because I think they're both really good actors, and I think
Hmm.
she I think she's actually an excellent actress,
Hmm.
and I think she's kind of one of those underrated actresses where she's actually
Hmm.
better than people think she is. And
Yeah.
he I think is coming into his own. I think.
The thing is, he's fairly recent. I think he only
Hmm.
started acting about 5 years ago. So because he used to be, well, he didn't used to be, he actually went to university for like an engineering degree.
That's right,
So
yeah.
he's very brainy. He's very
Mhm.
book
It's
smart.
really not, it's quite
Um,
unfair that one person can be like that intelligent and that beautiful. I mean, what's that all about?
it's like, yeah, like did I don't know what happened when he was
Blessed.
being created, but like somebody messed up because it's really not fair like
Yeah.
having that much of everything. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Our Generation just,
Well, I
I
don't
don't
feel so
know.
bad that I never got around to it then. Maybe I'll not. Maybe I'll put that on the back burner for now. But no, I think When
Yeah,
Destiny Brings the Demon is going to be occupying me for a little while.
when Destiny Brings the Demon, when I tell you that it became my whole personality when I was watching there's no way. This drama has kind of become like a five teacup for me, and there's no way that I won't have it on like my top 5 for the whole year, because
Mm,
there's just no way. It's definitely, there's two dramas I can think of like off the top of my head that will absolutely be in that top 5. And When Destiny Brings a Demon is one of those two, because I don't know what it is. Like I've always loved Xianxia. I mean, it was one of the things that kind of got me into Asian dramas in general. The first one I watched was Xianxia. I've always loved fantasy. The books that I enjoy the most are fantasy books. So like fantasy just speaks to me. And the thing is, once you've watched a Xianxia, you almost have watched them all, because the stories can get very repetitive. They can get very samey. And yes, it's very beautiful to look at because the costumes are stunning and the people are beautiful. But ultimately, like if the stories just get so similar, it doesn't it's not as fun to watch. But the difference with this one is, and I think it's such a small detail, but it changes the whole aspect. It's the fact that she's from the future. She's like a modern girl that's just been dumped into this world where everybody's trying to kill each other. And she's like, I don't want none of it. I just want a holiday. Like, don't get me involved in this. I'm not here for any of it. And she is just incredibly so. The female lead for this is Wang Yinglu, and I have seen her in a drama called I Am Nobody, where she plays a character Fang Bao Bao, and that alone the fact that I remember the character's name and everything will tell you like how memorable that character was for me, because this actress plays an incredible role in I Am Nobody, and I loved her. And the thing is, like, her other dramas haven't necessarily spoken to me, but she's the kind of actress who is incredibly talented, and she has range, because Fang Bao Bao, like the character in I Am Nobody, is night and day from the character that she is playing in When Destiny Brings a Demon. And there's another currently airing one, which is called 12 Letters, which
Oh, I've
she
been
also
seeing that.
stars. That drama. Oh, it is not a bingeable drama. It is something that you need to watch slowly, because it is incredibly hard to watch in certain parts. There's like abuse, there is, violence, there's domestic abuse. So it is
Mm.
hard to watch in certain parts, but it's such an interesting concept. And her character, again, is completely different to the other two characters from dramas that I've seen from her. So I love her, and her comedic timing is just impeccable, absolutely impeccable.
Which that's
So yeah,
not something that every actor has.
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely.
so that is, I do appreciate that when someone does have
Hmm.
it because it's not something that's easy to come by, I don't think. In
Hmm. And the male lead is stunning. The man, Cheng, he's stunning to look at. He's a very talented actor, although some people will argue that he's very much a Nepo baby, because his father's a director, his mother was an actress back in the day. So he's like,
Well,
you
look,
know.
the industry's full of them. So, if you
But the thing
if
is,
you were trying to avoid Nepo babies, you would never be able to watch anything.
true, true. But the thing is with him, I think he's worked at his craft, and I actually think he has talent. Like, I actually think he's a decent actor. So, yes, he probably did have a lot of help getting into the industry, but look, some people will have that help and they'll just barely get by on looks and a prayer, whereas like others will actually work on their craft. And he's certainly, like, he's a fairly talented actor. And in this is probably my favorite role of his that I've seen, because he looks great. And his character is just like, he's not a red flag, he's a whole damn red forest. And he stays a red forest throughout the drama. And I'm like, I love this. I'm here for it.
We're here for it
Like,
in not in real life, but in dramas for
not in
sure.
real life.
Sign
Yeah,
us up.
yeah. We don't want red flags near us in real life,
No,
only
no.
green near us. But in my dramas, give me
There's a
all of
time and
it.
a place. There's a time and a place for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have to like give me updates as you're watching this one, because like I'm still very much in my When Destiny
Living
Brings
in
a
the world of
Demon.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like get like that. I think it always takes me a wee while to like get over a drama once I finish it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that I'm like I'll
Mm-hmm.
spend a couple of weeks thinking about it and wanting to talk about it and yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, like, so like we were just discussing, like I said, September's meant to be the month off where the podcast is on hiatus. I'm supposed to be on like holiday from the podcast, but like I
Is
said,
that going
I'm
for you?
recording. How's that going? Well, let me tell you, I'm recording every weekend of September, so that's how that's going. But it just so happens that I have a couple of like dramas that I need to finish, and I'm like, I'm not in the right frame of mind, because I'm like stuck in that. And
Mm.
I love it when that happens, because it means you love the drama so much that you don't want to exit that world. But at the same time, it's just like, well, now I'm in like a post drama slump, because I loved that one so much that like I don't want to watch anything else. So,
Yeah, so you feel like you're cheating on it with other dramas.
yeah. Right. Shall we get into this review?
Yes, let's
So,
do it.
the MDL description for this, if you don't know, reads: to protect her family's noble title, He Yan, the eldest daughter of the He family, is forced to don a mask and pose as the family's eldest son, He Ru Fei. As a young girl, He Yan first meets the brilliant scholar Xiao Zhu at Xian Chang Academy. Determined to escape her family's fate, she leaves the academy and heads to the battlefield. Years later, He Yan returns from home as a celebrated hero, only to be betrayed by her family when her brother He Rufei reappears. Surviving the treachery, He Yan assumes a new identity as He Yan, the daughter of the city gate officer, and disguises herself as a man to join the military in Yuzhou, vowing to reclaim everything that was taken from her. In Ye Zhi, Yan befriends the gentle and refined Chu Zhao and once again crosses paths with Xiao Zhu. However, Xiao Zhu suspects Yan of being a spy and constantly tests her. Despite his suspicions, Yan clings to Xiao Zhu and proves her abilities by becoming the top soldier in Yuzhu's defense force. Through various trials, including the Sun family incident, the Jiyang princess affair, and the battle to defend Rundu, the two face life and death together and gradually come to understand each other's true feelings. So this is adapted from the web novel Rebirth of a Star General. And actually, this is a very popular novel. And this is one of the reasons why this drama didn't do as well in China. It actually has a fairly low
Oh.
low score in China. And like I said, one of the reasons is because this is a really, really popular novel, and people were not happy with the adaptation of it. And I did actually find out somebody who was talking about some of the differences. So we'll talk about that in the spoilers because I think some of them were quite interesting, and I feel like they would have been. I don't know why they were made. Well, I do. Some of them I do. But I wish we would have seen the novel as it was supposed to be seen. So this has 36 episodes. It filmed from the 28th of November 2023 to the 20th of March 2024. And this was a whole debacle because this show has literally been sitting on the shelf for a year and a half after it
Was
finished
there was
filming.
has there been was there a scandal or something? That is
Yes,
that
there
what normally
was. There
happens?
was there was a scandal with the second male lead. So the second male lead that you see in this show has actually been, oh, I think it's in this one. Oh, I really hope I'm not misremembering because that would be horrendous. I think it is this show that had one of the actors like AI'd like a different actor's face in it because
Oh,
they had a scandal, and because it was meant to be released like way earlier this year, and then it kind of kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and here we are. So this actually aired August 6th, 2025. So like I said, a year and almost a year and a half after it finished filming, and it aired all the way to August 20th, 2025. It is a Hunan TV production, but it also aired on Mango TV, which Mango TV belongs to Hunan TV. It's just Mango TV is like the online platform for it. Mango TV is the one nobody likes because
the
their
subtitles are rubbish.
subtitles,
Yeah.
yeah, subtitles are atrocious. Um, and this was also a 10-cent video. And the episodes were about 35 minutes. I did feel that because the episodes felt short. Like they
Yeah.
literally felt fairly short.
Especially for a
Um,
historical,
yeah,
because
yeah.
those, yeah, but yeah, no, I thought so too.
So this was directed by Jeffrey Chiang, and he's been directing since 1992. So he's been around for a little while. So some of the things he's done is Legend of the Condor Heroes from 2017, Heavenly Sword and Dragon Slaying Saber from 2019, and The Longest Promise from 2023. Screenwriter is Chang Yi, and they've done No Overtime Today from 2020 and The Legend of Zhou from 2023. And then the other screenwriter is Fang Shu Wen. And again, the only thing they have credited is The Legend of Zhou from 2023. And these two screenwriters that is all they have on their like repertoire. So you feel that. Like I think you can feel when a show is slightly, what's the word I'm looking for? When a show is when a screenwriter is a little bit inexperienced because it comes through in the writing, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah. So this is scored an 8.6 on MDL, which is a very respectable score. Now, if you look on Douban it has a 5.4.
Oof,
So,
that's quite a discrepancy.
yeah, that is nothing new. Like MDL will 99% of the time score dramas, like the scores will be much higher than Douban. But yeah, like I said, this one is definitely because this was a very popular novel and people were just not happy with the adaptation of it. So yeah, so for female lead, we have Zhou, and she's been acting since 2019 in films and 2021 in dramas. Some of her dramas were Word of Honor from 2021, which is where I first saw her, and I loved her in that role. She was so great in it. I really liked Word of Honor. It's one of the very few dramas that I actually have merch for. It was like an epic time for me when I watched it. Um, so she has also been in Back from the Brink from 2023, Scent of Time from 2023, Love Me, Love My Voice from 2023, and Everyone Loves Me from 2024. I have watched all of these dramas.
I've watched
So
none
you
of these dramas.
so you can say I've seen a few of her works because I have, seen all of these. Um, and I really enjoyed Zoe as an actress. I think, she definitely has more ability to do more. So I hope she kind of, spreads her wings a little bit. But to be fair, she has only been acting since 2021. So in dramas, so it's not been that long.
No, she's done quite like
So
she's been quite busy by the looks of it. I mean,
yeah,
they've
yeah, yeah,
only in four years,
yeah.
so she's like
Uh,
getting the work.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
for male lead, we have Chong Lei or Ryan Chung, and he's only been acting since 2019 as well. So like not very long. He was the male lead. Sorry, some of his works are Queen of Attack from 2021, which I have watched. It's one of those like mini series, and
Oh,
actually it was
okay.
a lot of fun. Like I had a lot of fun. He was also in A Familiar Stranger from 2022. Again, a short drama, but if you're missing Chong Lei and you want to see some of his earlier work, I definitely recommend A Familiar Stranger. It is one of the better, like much, much better shorter dramas that I've watched. I had a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely one of those that I always say if you want to watch something from him, like from more at the beginning of his career, this one's definitely one to watch. I had a lot of fun with that one. And then obviously we have my journey to you from 2023, where I think that's where he picked up a lot of new watches, which is a lot of fun. And then
Yeah, that was a big drama. Again, I haven't watched that one, but that was a big drama, wasn't it?
that was a big drama. Because he played second male lead, and the male lead in that is Zhang He, and like
Oh,
it was just a lot of pretty on screen.
is that the one? Is
uh,
Esther you in that as well?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the one. So yeah, it was just a lot to handle in that drama. Let's put it that way. But in a good way. Like I overall enjoyed it. I was really mad at the ending because they kind of leave it a little bit open-ended, almost like they're preparing for a season two. They leave like the door open for a season two, and I was just like, there was no need to do this, but here we are. Um, so yeah, and he is currently, well, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be finished, but he's in the currently airing Shadow Love from this year. So that is Chong Lei. He's also in another one that I forgot the name of that is also airing this year. So he's been busy. Well, he's not been busy because these have been recorded before, but yeah, so it's Footprints of Change. That's what it's called. I definitely want to check this one out, but I'm not sure if it's available internationally, unfortunately.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, so he's been busy this year. Well, he's had two
he's
dramas
been
out
doing
this
lots of
year.
variety shows, then I imagine. Lots of promo.
One of the ones there is actually he's got two upcoming, well, he's got a couple more, but two of the upcoming dramas from him that I'm very excited about. One of them is called More Lee, and the reason being is that Bai Lu's the female lead. So I'm
Oh, we
very
love Bailu.
intrigued. Yes, I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen there. But the other one is called How Dare You? And I saw, so this is going to be an Aichi production, and this is based on a oh my goodness, what's it called? It's based on a, I don't want to call it anime because it has a different name because it's Chinese and it's on Aichi. And if you search it up, like it'll tell you. Chinese have like a, I don't know, a proper name for it, but it is based on a web novel, which is called This Is Ridiculous. Like that's the translated title. And basically, it's like this female lead gets put into this story from the future, and she's like the mean concubine that gets killed within the first couple of episodes. She has to work it out. Turns out that the emperor that is meant to be evil and everything and that also is going to get killed is also been dragged from the future, so it's like them working together. It's meant to be a comedy. I am very excited about this one because I have watched like the Chinese anime that is on IG of it, and it is hilarious. It's very funny. So yeah, that's an apart, but that's one that I'm very excited to watch from Chong Lei. So he's still got some dramas upcoming. We'll just see, you know, how it goes. Now, if you want to watch Legend of the Female General, it is honestly like super easy to watch it. It's available on Tencent, on WeTV, on Mango TV, on iQIYI, on Viki, and on iFlix. Not Netflix. It is literally called iFlix. I don't know where that is because I don't think it's available in the UK. But yes, so that is all the information out of the way. Now, for me personally, we're just going to talk about it, like just do a little non-spoiler thoughts about it. I overall enjoyed the show, but I feel like something was missing. And I still to this day don't know what it is. Because on the surface, this show has kind of everything that I look forward to in terms of like it's a historical, the male lead and the female lead had good chemistry, and you know the story itself sounded interesting. It was going to be a revenge story. Now what I think took me back a little bit is the fact that it was possibly, I don't know, a little bit more comedy heavy than I was thinking it was going to be. And that probably was something that might have not worked as well for me. Um, so yeah, I also think it could have been a little bit shorter. There was some parts that dragged a little bit. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I overall enjoyed it. Is it going to be a top drama for me? No, but there is something special like about it in its category. I always like this is something that everybody is going to be, you know, mentioning, but to me it feels almost like a Mulan
Yeah,
kind
that
of.
was, yeah, it had me thinking about Milan too, for sure.
And I think a lot of people did, especially like when she was training in the camp. I couldn't help but think about "I'll make a man out of you" because it's
Uh-huh.
just
Well, there was a couple of like frames where it was like frame for frame the same activities she was doing. And I thought, I wondered if that's been intentional. Um,
you just kind of end up thinking about it, don't you?
yeah, like 'cause there was like a bit where she was like climbing up. climbing up to get a flag, and I was thinking that's like that exact scene is in Mulan. Well, I don't know if it's in I can't think if it's in the live action one, but it's in the cartoon for sure. And I thought it made me think about that, and I wonder if that's intentional.
Mm. So another thing that I actually really like is the fact that in the first couple of episodes, we move through the setup really quickly. Like, the fact that, and this is no spoiler because obviously it's the whole setup of the show, is the fact that she's playing her brother and then like her brother comes back and kind of kills her off, or so he thinks. But we get through that setup very quickly, like within the first two episodes or
The first
so.
episode, really
The
the first episode,
yeah, the
yeah.
first episode. And I was really glad of that because I thought, oh, that's, really good that we're moving so quickly because we can get to like the meat of the story faster. Because sometimes dramas will take, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes even to like set up the story. And I'm
Hmm.
just like, I just want to get into the story now. So yeah. What about you, Laura? Like, what did you think overall, non-spoiler, about the drama?
I overall enjoyed it. I think that did you already mention like issues with the writing? I think some of the things that I thought were there were a couple of like side characters and things or smaller characters that I felt
Mm-hmm.
weren't like fully fleshed out and at
Mm-hmm.
points like were a little bit caricature-y.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the chemistry of the main couple though. And I love a drama where the female lead knows exactly who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is definitely the case for Huyan in this story. Like she kind of never falters from like who she is at her core and what her like core values are. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that when a woman knows exactly who she is, especially in a historical in that context where, you know,
It's a very man-dominated
yeah,
world that she's stepping into, isn't it?
for sure. And the fact that it was making me think of Mulan is not a bad thing either because that was one of my
No,
favorite that she
me
was one of my
too.
favorite
Me
characters
too.
growing up. So that's quite nice. And I think that it had enough politics and all of the sort of stuff that you come to expect of a historical, but there wasn't so much that it took away from the character development of like our
Mm-hmm.
lead couple.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I for like for the most part, I really enjoyed it, and I have to say with this drama, like we do get fed in terms of like romantic tension, like
One of the lines that will live rent free. I love the moon, and the moon doesn't
oh
know.
oh oh my God, I love that so much. I love
Because
that so
that
much.
line is such an epic line. It's beautifully like written.
Oh,
See, and in moments like that, the drama really shines through. And I think that's the thing. In terms of the romance itself, the drama kind of really does deliver and comes through. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I truly don't. I still can't quite put my finger on why I didn't love this as much as I thought I was going to. Like you said, I will agree. Like some of the side characters are definitely like plot devices to get
mm-hmm.
to where they want to be. And I do enjoy it when like characters are a little bit more fleshed out. I don't know. That's just something that I prefer. But I don't know. I don't know what it is about this drama because I was like reading through my notes and I was like, there was a lot of things that I actually enjoyed about this drama. And then I think, but what was it that didn't make it as big for me? And I do think some plots were dragged out a little bit too long. And I did feel bored in some sections. I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't captivated every single episode, like
Mm-hmm.
I hope I will be with dramas. So yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a more of a letdown.
I think it took me a while to kind of fall for the male lead too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I did, but I had by the time I needed to have, if you know what I mean. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it took me a wee bit of time to warm up to him
He's
because
a very, I was just gonna say, he's a very closed character, isn't he? And like they don't. expand very much on his character.
Yeah, and he is very kind of like stoic and like expressionless sometimes in his face. Like it's
Hmm.
all very much like it's all kind of all of his character work and his emotion and stuff is done in like very tiny micro expressions,
Hmm.
which like, I think shows his skill as an actor. But he takes a I think he took a while to warm up to. I wasn't immediately like swooning over him. And
Yeah.
I like a wee swoon.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And funnily enough, give me a red flag and I'll be swooning all over that,
For
which
sure.
definitely says something about us, doesn't it? It definitely says something about
It's
us.
because you can do it from the safety of your lovely, comfortable,
Exactly.
happy home.
Exactly, exactly. Where we have very much non-red flag partners.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's put it that way. Um, but I think for me personally, like I said, yeah, with his character, it took a little bit too long for his character to kind of like develop. And then we can talk about it in the spoilers, but towards the end of the drama, there was just like a couple of choices that were made that I was like, this is not the characters that you've kind of
hmm
developed throughout, 35 episodes. So that made me a bit annoyed at
It
the
just I
drama.
think it just takes you out of it a wee bit.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
when there are choices that suddenly feel not true to what's been built before it, then you sort of takes you out of the world of it for a minute and it makes
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
and then it kind of, if I think that's what it
Yeah.
does is it just kind of makes you stop and think, and you don't really want to
Hmm.
stop and think halfway through a
No,
thing.
no,
You
no,
want to,
no, no.
you want to be swept up in it,
Yeah.
and
And I
anything that
also,
takes you out,
it just doesn't work that well, does it? And I
yeah,
also think it's like, it almost feels like that by episode 35 and 36, they were just throwing things out there to kind of like make
yeah,
the drama stretch a little bit.
yeah. No,
So
I would
that's
agree.
why, yeah, so that's why I think it was overall a little bit too long. And I just think it could have been condensed to like 30 episodes. And like the whole, for example, section at the beginning where she's training in the new camp, that could have been so much shorter. We
Yeah,
honestly didn't
could have been a
need,
montage.
yeah, we honestly did not need like six, seven, even eight, 9 episodes, however long it was, of just that.
hmm
I just don't think it was necessary in the long run. It doesn't add or take anything away from the drama itself, although it does build like her community of like people around her in an essence.
Yeah,
Like
but
the,
you could have done that quicker, I think. And
yes.
also, especially because we know that we've had the character development of we know what her background is and we know that she already
Mhm.
has that training, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm.
actually what you're watching is her pretending to not be good at things so that no
Yeah.
one catches it out.
Yeah. And actually, it was very interesting because somebody kind of mentioned, oh, like I don't click with her character. She's so like over the top, or she's so this and she's so that for like the first 10 episodes. And I actually said, I mentioned, you got to be patient. And actually, she's playing a game right now because she has to work hard to pretend to not be a general, because like a lot of people are like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, but she has all of these capabilities and she's like, just weak and this and that. Yeah, well, yeah, she's playing a character,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting because she's trying to be as far away as the general that she was, so
Yeah.
that nobody suspects that's who she was. So of course she's going to be a bit over the top. And yes, in the first 10 episodes, her character is absolutely like very flamboyant, very over the top. I would
hmm
absolutely agree. I think it is done in a way that it's meant for her to be uh distance as much as possible from like her general counterpart.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Also, though, I think that just thinking about that now, there also were more than a few moments where I thought to myself, like, I think where it required the suspension of your disbelief, right? Because there were so many moments where out in my head I was thinking, like, how anyone believes that that is a man, I have no idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like she even like her
Yeah.
voice, she makes no attempt to disguise her voice in any way or like so I
No.
think that for me like that was a wee bit of a like thing where I was like, I mean, how does anybody believe that that's a man? You know?
Yeah. So the thing is, I will say, this is something that a lot of people brought up, but to me, I wasn't expecting anything else. And the reason being is that I, I mean, I might be wrong. I haven't watched every single drama in this category out there, but of all of the dramas that I have seen of this category where a woman pretends to be a man, I would love for somebody to give me one Chinese drama, K drama, whatever it may be, where it's actually realistic and you almost believe like it's a
Yeah.
man. Because, I mean, the thing is, there's only so far that they'll go because they still want her to look pretty, don't they? They still want
Well,
her to
yeah,
look
yeah.
so,
And
like,
there were a few moments in the beginning as well with the male lead and stuff where I was like, "Pfft, you're lingering off along for somebody that thinks he's a man. Do you know?
exactly, exactly. The thing is, I will say, I do enjoy the fact that he finds out really quickly that that's not a man. So I
Yeah.
will say that that was a good choice by the show.
I
Um,
think that's something it does actually quite well in general is that misunderstandings. You know, I hate that in dramas where a misunderstanding goes on for like 6 episodes and you're like,
oh
oh,
my God, I
someone just
can't
have a
stand it.
conversation.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But in this one, they don't keep any of the misunderstandings going for too
Mm,
long. I think everything, anytime there's any kind of moment like that, it gets resolved
mhm.
relatively quickly. I thought,
That's always a plus for me. That is
yeah,
always a plus for me because I don't think misunderstandings are necessary for that amount of period. Like it's fine to use misunderstandings, but just don't drag it out because I think it's lazy writing
yeah,
to have it drag out for, quite a lot of episodes. Um but let's rate this and then we can get into spoiler territory and
spoilers.
then we can like yeah, get more into it. And also we can discuss, I'll read out the parts, the changes that were made and why people were a little bit, especially in China, why people just didn't connect with this that much. So, rating system works. One teacup, it was something I watched. It wasn't good, but something made me finish, and that's a 1 to a 5.5 on MDL. Two teacups, the okay ones. Dramas I don't really recommend, but they were an okay background watch, and that's a 6 to a 7 on MDL. Three teacups, the enjoyable ones, good dramas. They were enjoyable, and I would recommend to people who enjoy this genre. And that's a 7.5 to an 8 on MDL. Four teacups, the loved ones. These are dramas that I really loved. There might be a couple of problems with it, but overall, a really enjoyable drama that I would recommend to a wider audience. And that's an 8.5 to a 9.5 on MDL. And then the five teacups, the rose glass, no faults dramas. This rating is reserved for those dramas that you love so much that you are willing to ignore any problems they may have. And that is a 10 on MDL. So for me, this is a three, straight up three teacup because I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I loved. And it's probably not something that will stick with me like long term. Like I said, some of the lines will stick with me, like the moon one will absolutely stick with me because that comes back around. It is just beautifully, like it's a beautiful euphemism used, throughout the drama. So stuff like that may stick with me overall. But it's just an enjoyable one. I would recommend if you like a lighter historical, then you might enjoy this one with like a sprinkling of revenge because the revenge takes forever to actually gain shape, which is probably like something that I like my revenges like fresh, you know, and like a constant throughout the drama. Whereas this one is
Hmm.
like more of a slow build.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like if it's a revenge drama, I like going in knowing it's a revenge drama and that revenge is going to take center
Hmm.
stage. So, and that wasn't the case for this. So, three teacup for me. Yeah. What about you, Laura?
I have to agree. I was leaning towards the three teacups as well because there was lots of stuff in it that I liked, and there's lots of stuff in it that generally I like.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, I wasn't. I wasn't so caught up in it that it wasn't one of those dramas where I was like, I should really go to bed, but I'm gonna sit up and watch three more episodes. Like I wasn't
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I was kind of quite happy at the end of a night to like
Hmm.
turn it off and go to bed and like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't chasing it like in that way. But there are lots of things in it too, like, and there are lots of moments like where you get fed in lots of ways, but yeah, it wasn't one that I was chasing, but I did
Hmm.
enjoy it. I did enjoy it, and
Yeah.
I didn't have enough issues with it that I would say to anyone not to watch it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you have to watch
You
this. But
absolutely
like,
have to watch this. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I would recommend it to some people. It's not one that I would recommend to everybody because, like, it's not, one of those dramas where I literally get home from work and I turn on the TV because I have to watch the new episodes.
hmm
Very rarely that happens to me in terms of like dramas. Those tend to be like the ones that are going to hit the 5 teacup mark
hmm
of those, or the ones where I'm waking up early because they're dropping new episodes and I'm like, I want to watch it before I go to work kind of situation. This was definitely not that, but I don't also think that it's not one that I wouldn't recommend. I would recommend it, like I said, for a lighter historical. If you're going in knowing that there's going to be more comedy than you expect, that the politics are going to be lighter, that it's something that you can probably casually watch overall, then I would highly recommend. I would recommend to people who want to, I don't know, aren't necessarily don't want something intense in terms of
yeah,
politics or anything like that. So yeah, I think like it's a very middle of the road type
yeah.
of
It's an easy
drama.
watch. It's an easy
Yeah, it's an
watch
easy watch. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is it. This is your spoiler warning now. If you haven't watched it and don't want to be spoiled, then please, walk away, come back after you finished watching. If you've watched it, then keep on listening. And if you don't mind spoilers, then keep on listening too. But this is your spoiler warning. So let's start here because I really want to start with like the book differences because
hmm
this was something I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across a video of somebody like explaining some of the biggest differences between the drama and the book and why it has such a low score in China and why it really did not hit for the home audiences. And I'm just going to read it off. I really should have. Oh, I did. Okay, okay. I was like, oh, I don't think I like credited. I don't think, but I did.
Oh,
I have the. So this was taken from Shadow Crown Moon Shadow Crown Moon on TikTok. That's their like TikTok handle, and they like posted a picture of the poster and then kind of like wrote it, and they said, "Her Yan." Was married off after the return of the real He Rufei. There, a month later, she was blinded, and a year later, she was killed by her husband's concubine. She was reincarnated in the body of another girl under the same name of her Yan. She has an
oh,
older brother and a father. The story of the real owner of the body is too long. Because of the past of the owner of the body, she gets into trouble and decides to join the army. In the drama, they send her away and try to kill her, but she survives and joins the army. A lot was changed in the novel. Xu Jingfu at first did not know that He Rufei was not the real general, Fei Hong, and did not come to He Rufei when he was being treated. So basically, it's a whole different story, in my opinion. Like,
that's a very different story.
it's a
That is a
very different
very
story. So
yeah.
you can sort of understand people who read the novel and were very excited that this was going to get, adapted. All of a sudden, the story is completely different.
But then is that
And
not is there not a censorship thing? They're not allowed to do reincarnation stories, or is that?
so I think there is, and I am actually in October at some point. I'm going to be sitting down with Haley, and Haley's going to be like, talking to me about these things because yes, I do, and I'm not sure why. She says there's like kind of some reasons and stuff, but we haven't, fully chatted about it. It's definitely coming. I'm gonna like she luckily has some time in October, so I'm gonna sit down with her and kind of like talk about it, and she's gonna explain some things to me. But from what I understand, reincarnation is something that isn't necessarily straightforwardly allowed through
Mhm.
censorship. Um, but there is ways they can sort of work around it. So I don't know because it's been done. I mean, in dramas like the story of Cooning Palace, for example, the female lead. Have you watched the story of Cooning
No,
Palace?
it's been on my list for the longest time, and I feel like it's going to be a big in time investment. And I know it's one of those dramas that everyone talks about, so I'm kind of I don't know
So
what's like
good.
stopped me from watching it. Other than that, I feel like
So
I'm going to have the time to dedicate to it in my life. Do you know what I mean?
It's so good. It's so good. But this isn't a spoiler at all because it's just the setup of the story. It kind of happens in the first episodes, the setup. So, female lead played by Lu gets to be an empress. She dies, gets, kills herself in the first episode and then goes back to when she's 18 or, right before she went into the palace and stuff and wants to redo her life. The Princess Royal, same story,
Yeah,
she. So, but I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that, from what I gather from like this, TikTok, it seems like she would have been reincarnated into somebody else's body, whereas these other two shows that I mentioned, they kind of just go back in time into their own bodies,
hmm
if that makes
hmm
sense. So I do wonder if that distinction kind of makes, a a difference, but they did change it drastically. It does seem like it's a very different story
Yeah, it does. It sounds totally
being
different.
told. So I can kind of understand where they're sort of coming from. But it is what it is. So let's talk about. I think the only place that we really need to start is her Yan and her character because I feel like she is the legend of this show. She is, the main plot of this show. So I think it's only fair to sort of start with her character. I overall really enjoyed her character. I do think she had a lot of like growth throughout. And I think it's not growth in the linear sense of she's changing very much. She's just learning to live for herself almost. And because beforehand, she had to play her brother, she had to be this general, she had to like hide that she was a woman. And, in her second life, let's put it that way, when she becomes her Yan completely, she's still at some point pretending she's a man, even though everybody knows that she's a woman. But I feel like her character does grow in that she learns to grow into herself and like who she wants to be. So I really, really, really enjoyed that. What did you think like about her character and anything?
I think at her core, the reason I like her is because she knows exactly who she is. Like even
Hmm.
from like so yes, she has growth, but she's she kind of comes fully formed in the sense that she knows who she is and she knows what she
Yeah.
wants. And she is very shrewd and canny and clever about how she's going to get what she wants. And she doesn't let any of the men around about her
Hmm.
kind of stop her from her ultimate goal. Like she's kind of got that like thing of she's patient, she's fine, she's quite happy to go to take several steps backwards and start fresh if it means that she's going to ultimately achieve her goal again. And I
Hmm.
like that. I like the sense of a woman in a man's world and making her way in a man's world. And I'm a sucker for a woman going into those situations and then actually proving to be better than the men. Like that just speaks to all of the things that I believe and I like. You know that. So for me, I like that element of her. I like the kind of the feminist aspect to her
Yeah.
personality. I like that along the way that there are women that she picks up and helps, like with Suzai's eyes back. But I
Oh
forget.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's all.
Just
So
oh,
she plays the character
is it Tao
Song Tao
Tao
Tao.
Tao?
So Tao Tao, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know I need to stop this because honestly, she's never going to be anything but Suzai's eye to
She's
me
always
next.
the thing is at this point she's always going to be Suzanne Zai to you. That's it.
Yeah, but that's just who she is, right? That's just her name now. So, but she like, so she picks up these little waif and straight, and you do see nice examples of like female friendship as well. But
Hmm.
you also see like friendships with her and the people that she surrounds herself with that kind of cross the boundaries of gender because
Hmm.
because some of them have been forged while she was a man, you know,
Hmm.
and they don't really change when she's a woman. Like I like the fact that despite the fact that they've learned that she's a female, like nobody really changes towards her,
Yeah.
like and nobody gives her any less respect. So yeah, I like that too. And I like the fact that she's not completely like head over heels smitten with the male lead. Like she kind of gives as good as she gets, and she's like
Hmm.
she definitely forges for herself a relationship of equals between the two of
Yeah.
them. And I think it's her that does that, like because she just keeps pushing, pushing, pushing him. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah,
she's
because at the beginning, it's fair to say that there is a huge power imbalance between them
hmm
and it's a very interesting dynamic because technically, if she was still General Fei Hong, which is the title that like her brother came back and kind of reclaimed and took away from her, her and the male lead would have been on equal ground. They would have been on equal footing, which means they, would have been able to push and pull in their own directions very easily. So to then go from that and to be like lowest of the lowest ranks in his army is quite a tumble from grace, so to speak. But she's just there, she's ready to work, and she
Yeah,
she wants to do this.
she doesn't really have
Any
any
other
ego about
choice?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, no.
she doesn't and I think that's actually for me that's a very female thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a man having to fall that far essentially from where
Yeah.
they'd worked to, I think would be a very different thing, but she just like
Mm-hmm.
is so resilient that it happens and she goes, okay, she picks herself up and then she just starts again. And I think
Yeah.
that's such a like representation of like the strength and resilience of a female that I
Mm-hmm.
think is
Mm-hmm.
quite a uniquely female thing,
Yeah.
to just be
I
like,
I
okay,
agree.
yeah,
I also think so. Um, so for the first sort of couple of episodes, like we were saying earlier, they're kind of this all happens in episode one where her brother sends somebody to kill her, and it's episode one or episode one. Her brother
episode
sends
one.
somebody to kill her, and then she joins the army. And she's ready to go. And it's like her stumbling through the training and like trying to like keep behind. And I actually really enjoy the fact that she kind of brings this ragtag group of males to kind of like they almost get her killed, but she ends up saving them because she gets
hmm
attacked in the woods. They go off on this mission and she gets attacked they get they do a dumb choice, and then she earns their respect, which is something that I really enjoyed. And see, that is something that I will say. So she forges this relationship with them, and then it kind of just stays there and you don't really see their characters until right at the end when it's war and they come to rescue her,
Yeah,
and then all
yeah.
of a sudden they know that she's a woman and all of this, and I'm like, well, what was the point of like almost 8 episodes or however long it was? I think it was like 5, 6 episodes of them like forging this relationship and her going through all of this training when then you're not really going to do anything with that until the very end. And even when you do, it's like a very throwaway, almost kind of scene. So it's almost like that was unnecessary. You could have cut it down. So that
Yeah.
was one of the things because it was definitely not necessary for all of these scenes to be in there.
I
And
think sometimes they were a plot device though to put
mm-hmm.
her in situations where the Xiao Jui had to
Yeah,
rescue her in some way or help her out or cover for her or do you know what I mean? It was like a lot of that was just ways to throw them together
absolutely.
and then
And I
comic
mean,
relief.
the classic one was the fact that she when she gets attacked by this wolves and she's stuck and he comes and rescues her. First of all, how the heck does he know where she is? But
Yeah.
whatever. We're suspending belief.
He's magic. He's magic.
We're also suspending belief of the fact that they have to ride one horseback and she falls asleep on his back and all of a sudden he knows she's a woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you know what I did think? Like, those must be some boobs, by the way, if you can feel them like all the way. So I was like,
And the thing is, supposedly they're all like banded up and anything
well,
and
yeah.
everything. So it's like,
And listen,
uh,
just while we're at that section, right? Not even talking about that, but can we talk for a minute about the really bad CGI wolves? I
oh my
mean,
God, they were
oh,
terrible. They were
so bad,
terrible.
so bad.
The thing is, CGI animals are always horrendous in like
Oh
Chinese dramas. It's just a running joke at this point because it's just like these are never like uh, good. So I
no.
don't understand. The wolves were terrible. Um, but yeah, I just there's scenes like that where I think it's a hindrance towards the drama where you almost have to suspend your belief a little bit too much. And
Hmm.
that kind of like takes you out of the drama and hinders you. Because if you know that's what you're signing up for, then great, you're going to be sorted. But personally, I think that was my biggest problem. I thought I was going in for something a little bit more serious, a little bit more
Hmm.
revenge heavy. And that's the thing as well. So, episode one, she's like, I'm gonna join the army. I'm gonna climb, I'm gonna bring revenge. Her revenge doesn't come until I think it's like episode 33 or something. I'm like, I'm sorry. That, that's,
She's
that's.
she's really playing the long game there. She's like
And
patience of a saint.
I think that's one of the biggest problems for me is the fact that we have to do all of these stops in
Hmm.
almost like what it feels like unrelated cases. And I just think they weren't linked well enough to the overall plot for it to
Yeah.
be compelling and interesting. Because I was just like, I don't know why we're here at
Hmm.
this point. So yeah. Um, but overall, like I said, I do think she is a fairly, strong female character. She is, I don't know, resilient. She is, yes, she's kick-ass, but, also she is very tiny. She looks
She's
very tiny
toty tiny. She's so tiny.
next to everybody. And like I said, that was another comment floating about is like, I guess I have to suspend my belief that she's this tiny person that was a commander.
Yeah. And then nobody noticed when her brother took over from her and he's like a whole head taller than her.
And broader, very much
Yeah.
broader. Nope, we're not gonna mention that.
Just because
So yeah,
that mask was like a really effective mask, right? I mean,
yeah,
it was,
yeah, yeah. I think it's like I think that was one of the biggest problems with the drama itself is the fact that how much you have to suspend your belief for
yeah,
it.
I think
And
you're
I
right.
think because this isn't a fantasy, it's a straight up historical, it does mean that it just doesn't work that well for me. Actually, now that I'm talking through it, I think that's probably the writing problem that I'm like finding is the fact that I had to suspend my belief far too much, and that
Hmm.
kind of keeps bringing me out of the story.
Yeah, I think that does happen for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But yeah, I think like, so actually now that we're talking about woman and her character and everything, there's a very interesting scene and it's episode 5 and their male lead and the female lead are making lanterns for their ancestors.
Hmm.
And I wrote down that I love that he knows she's a woman and is charmed by her. They touch hands accidentally, and she's like, it's only a hand touch. And he's like, this woman has no sense of propriety, like in her head. And it's almost like a fun little moment, but it's moments like these where she's just trying to pretend like she's a man. He knows she's a woman. She doesn't know that he knows she's a woman. So I
Yep.
think it leads to some very interesting and fun scenes overall. But yeah, I will say episode 7 is so she's at the brothel and she's doing like this dance because she's trying
Oh
to get
yeah. Oh, with
something.
the and she's dancing with the sword, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes. And then she's coming off stage and he's walking in her direction. The chemistry in this
Yeah.
scene is almost like palpable. And it's
Hmm.
scenes like this that I love when we're talking about, chemistry and sizzling chemistry because they're not touching, they're not kissing. All they're doing is looking at each other. And it's
Hmm.
like, my gosh, the chemistry feels incredibly good in this in this show.
But what I also find really awkward about that scene, right? So yes, they've got this maybe this is on purpose, right? Because the male and female lead have got like this moment of amazing chemistry, right? But then there's this like the moment where she kind of loses her footing, and then Chu Zhou, is that his name? Chu
Hmm.
Zhou, stands up and like out of nowhere starts playing his flute,
Yeah, he's just like,
and it's so awkward
it's
because
good.
he's so serious.
He's very serious, and I honestly do think I wish they would have developed his character earlier on. And I don't know if it was a choice made by the director of how they wanted the male lead played, if it was a choice made by Chang Lei himself of how he wanted to play the character. Like he felt a little bit too stilted throughout. And I get it. He was like, he had a heavy load. He was trying to prove his family's innocence. But again, like that feels like that's put on the back burner till the last couple of episodes where
Yeah.
everything sort of ramps up. So again, I feel like that was almost a little bit too much in essence for me.
The other thing about that, just talking about him playing the other character playing his flute again, right, is that reminded me of that's another moment that took me out of the drama. And it happens to me every time someone badly plays an instrument on camera. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't understand how it's not difficult. Just get someone who can play the instrument and film their fingers, right? You don't just or like give them one lesson to play one bit of one song and
Mm.
I hate it when you see people in dramas playing instruments and they're so obviously not playing the instrument. It
Mhm,
just, oh,
mhm.
it drives me insane. Oh, it's like such
I bet
annoying.
for you it's even worse. Like to me, it's like it's just become a running joke at this point because it is what it is. For example, if it's somebody like Zalushi playing the zither,
But she
that will
can
actually be
play.
she can
Yeah.
play. Like she plays the zither. So, there is actors and actresses out there who do play certain instruments. But I agree, it's definitely, not
It just like
ideal.
it takes me out of it and it bugs me because then I in my head I get on my high horse about there must be so many actors and actresses that could
Yeah.
do that like and or you could just don't show a close up of the fingers or there's like so many ways to just make that
Mm.
believable but and maybe it's just me because like it's easier for me to tell if someone's not playing an
Hmm.
instrument but oh, it drives me mad. It's just one of those wee things. Just when talking
Yeah.
about that episode that I just remembered, I was like, oh,
Shall we talk about something that got a little bit annoying for me as well?
okay, go.
Is Hyan calling him doo doo. Because I'm like, I
Oh,
can't. It's constant. Like, I get it. But why is nobody else calling him that? Like, I don't understand. Because I felt like it was just her calling him that.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
ended
was
up
a thing
getting
all the way through. That was a thing all the way through.
yeah, 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 that was. Um, let's talk about the male lead because, I've talked about the female lead. Let's talk about the male lead. I think, like, I know Chung Lei can act. I know he can act. So it's definitely not necessarily him. But I felt like it was played a little bit too cold throughout
Yeah, I
and
agree.
that you could see him defrost a little bit towards the female lead, but I feel like it just took a little bit too long for him to like
Hmm.
start showing a little bit more emotion. And again, his family, his father was killed, his 30,000 of his troops were killed. Like, we get it. Lots of trauma there,
But
but still.
it makes me think of like, but you could if you could compare that to other like performances of similar characters, right? So like I immediately when you were talking there was thinking about Wooly in Love Like the Galaxy, right? Similar thing. He's
Mhm,
got all this trauma. He's like out to get his revenge. He's a man of few words. He's very stoic and
mhm,
serious, and this like very serious military general. But you can see the warmth when like you see it's I think that there are ways to do it where you still see
mhm.
the warmth of the moments between the two. And I think you did see that in this, but like you say, I think it took too long. Took too long. And
Mhm.
it sometimes then that'll put you in a situation where you're like, okay, I can understand why you love her, but why is she falling for you?
Yeah.
Because you're not
Yeah.
giving her much, there's a bit of that a disconnect that happens where you're like, she's totally adorable and charming, and I can totally understand why you're falling in love with her, but why is she falling in love with you? Because you've not given her much,
Mhm.
you know. And
I
it
think it
eventually does, like, I think when they're at the point where they're having to pose as like husband and wife and like
mhm.
that's where you start to see like the dynamic between them like change and warm up
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
bit
Mhm.
more, but it takes a while to get to that point.
Yeah. I think like for example when that specific part that you're saying there's episode 17 is very much an episode that you see him um truly kind of open up a little bit to her, and a couple of scenes that I have down is one of the quotes is he says to her, today you can do whatever you want, just be your true self and ask for it. And, I loved this one. This is when they're playing the married couple, and like him saying that to her was just something that I really enjoyed. And then in that same episode, they have to cross the lovers bridge,
Yeah,
which is
that
like
was good.
this
I like that.
shaky.
I like
Yeah, I
that.
like that scene. Like to be able to see the princess and like everybody's kind of like flailing all over the place, and the female lead almost falls over, and he catches her and he gives her like a kiss on the
The
forehead.
accidental forehead kiss.
Yeah, the
That's that old
accidental
chestnut.
forehead kiss. It's very sweet, It's not
Hmm.
nothing new. I mean, it's stuff we've seen, but the scene that I really enjoyed in episode 17 is actually the scene where they're both laying in the boat and they have a
Yeah.
conversation here. And I actually wrote down everything like they kind of were apart because I just really, really enjoyed this back and forth. And she says to him, Dudu, have you realized that ever since we've met, I've always been pretending to be someone else. And he says to her, do you feel wronged? And she says, not really, but I am afraid that after pretending to be someone else for so long, I may forget who I am. I hope there's someone in this world who comes for me. And then in her thoughts, she says, or she thinks, not for her Ru Fei, not for General Fei Hong, just for me, like coming for me.
Hmm.
And then she carries on to him and says, Dudu, you must remember my name. Her, and then like he says, her Yan, I'll remember. And it's just like it's a beautiful conversation between them. And then you have like the fireflies around the boat. It's just like a very, very good moment between them
Hmm.
because you really see through to the female lead. And it's true. She's been pretending to be somebody else her whole life. She was pretending to be her Ru Fei, and then she was pretending to be General Fei Hong. Well, she was those people because,
Yeah.
she earned that general title through her hard work, which is something her brother never really understood. But she earned that title. And this conversation was just something that was just truly very good, very, very good. I just really, really liked it. And I think it's around about these episodes as well where she says to him, they're dancing and they're masked, and she's supposed to tell him two truths and a lie, or three truths, or something
Hmm.
along those lines. And she says to him, I love the moon, but the moon doesn't know. And then that comes back around much later when
Yeah,
he
yeah.
says to
Do you
her,
still
and
love the
she's like,
moon? Oh,
yeah, do you still love the moon? The moon has returned to you. And it's just like, oh, see, it's moments like that where you almost see what could have been, or
yeah.
like,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah, it's
there are moments of like really lovely writing and there are moments of really lovely connection.
mm-hmm,
Like that's I feel bad, saying only negative things, but because there are lots of really lovely moments
mm-hmm,
between
mm-hmm,
them
mm-hmm.
where you do kind of swoon and go, oh, there definitely are,
Yeah.
and that's for sure one of them. And the fact that it's come back around makes it more effective, because you immediately recall back to that. But there was the other night where like she's through the door from him, and because he maybe gives her the room like through from his.
Mm-hmm.
And her job's to like guard him so that because he knows she's a woman so that nobody else finds out. And
Yeah, yeah,
then they're
yeah.
like through the door from each other and she's looking out the window and is she drunk or something? I can't remember. And she's talking about how much she loves the moon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think
So
she is she drunk? I can't. Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
I can't
remember. I can't
remember.
remember. There is a scene where she's drunk and she like is annoying him. But I can't remember if it's that same night
Mm,
and he puts her through the door and then she's looking out the window and she's saying, oh, look at the moon. It's the moon. She's talking about how much she loves the moon.
mm-hmm.
And then whispers the thing about the moon to him when they're
Yeah,
dancing
yeah,
and
yeah.
then the moon comes back. So I like the moon imagery in general. It's
Mm-hmm,
nice.
mm-hmm.
And then
It is very, very nice. It is.
they're looking at the moon too. Like that's kind of how it
Yeah.
finishes.
Yeah, yeah, it is how it
So,
finishes. So it's something that kind of like follows throughout the drama, and it's very nice imagery. It's very like nicely done between them. So that was something that I definitely really enjoyed. You know, between them in general. I liked the found family aspect that we kind of create in this drama, and that is between kind of like the female lead and male lead, and then like some of the soldiers. So there is kind of like a little nice found family, especially with like the secondary couple. I feel like we have a really nice you know connection between them that they kind of go around. um
although, do
i
you not
i
think that they like their relationship kind of just goes from like they don't want to get married to suddenly they do, and it's sort of you don't really see the development there. It's like all of a
yeah,
sudden they're just
yeah,
like suddenly in love again, and we're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, we're getting married, okay.
yeah. So that is a second couple, which is Song Tao Tao and Chang Lu Sao. So Chang Li Su is Xiao Ju's nephew, and they're supposed to be engaged. But they don't want to get married because like they've never known each other and they butt heads from the moment they kind of meet. And yeah, I just feel like they went from zero to nothing. Like they didn't want to
Yeah.
get married and then they did. And I feel like that was again just like a little bit of poor writing in
Hmm.
general. I I don't know. I think like reading back on some of my thoughts and comments and notes, one of the things that I think also didn't hit as well is the fact that the villains in this are just not that compelling
Yeah.
overall. And whether that was a writing problem or whether that was a, scheming problem, not a scheming, like a writing or an acting
Hmm.
problem,
Hmm.
I don't know which way it was. But unfortunately, like for something like this, drama where it's going to be supposedly, based on revenge and whatnot, you really need your villains to be quite compelling. And
Hmm.
I just don't think they were that compelling. So we
That's
have,
that's like what I was saying at the earlier on about how like some of the side characters or the sort of like the villains I would say like
hmm
Rufy and to a lesser extent also even Chu Zhou, like
hmm
they're just a bit caricaturish. Like there are moments where like Rufy just he doesn't have enough character development that you really understand like why he's so threatened
hmm
by
by her.
and then like Chu Zhou just all the way through just doesn't understand her. He doesn't get what makes her tick. And she's
hmm
she hasn't really at any point all the way through, she's never led him to believe that she's got any feelings for him. And then he suddenly turns like crazy jealous when he finds out and
Even
you're
when
like,
she's like, even when she's like, I don't want to be with you.
aha,
Even when she says to the emperor, if I'm not gonna marry, Xiao, I'm not gonna marry anybody else, regardless of your imperial edict. I don't want it. And like Chu Zhao is still not getting it. And you're like, dude, she'd rather be alone
yeah.
than
She
like marry
literally
anybody else.
could not be
What like
clearer. Like she at
I
no
don't
point.
understand.
There's never
Yeah.
at any point. I mean, there's maybe the moment when she accepts his gift, when he buys her the little like the wee charm to put on her whip.
hmm
Like, but even then, like she returns the gift because that's the polite thing to do, and then that's it. And she's always like at every point that he tries to talk to her about romantic stuff, she always kind of gently rebuffs him and makes it very clear that she's not interested in him. So I just think it's weird that then he turns crazy jealous and like
hmm
then we'll go into he has that like an episode or two where he's going a bit mad with jealousy, do you know? And you just think that's a bit of a strange
hmm
choice. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
yeah.
think I interrupted your thought. You go, keep going.
No, that was it. That's what I was telling about that like just I just feel like the villains just weren't developed enough.
Yeah.
On the other side, I did find episode 29 was when he finally confesses to her, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's taken a while. And I
Oh.
did write down because I really liked his confession. And he says to her, do you still love the moon? And she says, I do. And he gives her his jade pendant. And he says to her, now the moon has returned to you. You're the first one I taught swordsmanship to. You're the first one I tended wounds for. You're the first one I gave candy to. You're the first one I bought clothes for. You're the first girl I tried to comfort. You're the first one I covered for. Finally, I realized that in my life, the only person I love is you. And it's like,
Yeah,
see, these are the
that's a
moments.
good confess. Yeah. And
It's
actually
a really good confession.
I also realized in that moment, like maybe I should have realized this beforehand, right? But when she's like making him she's stitching him the pouch. And
hmm
it's got like the wee little, I don't know if it's a dog or something, what it's meant to be on the front, but it's
Yeah.
like a
And a
badly
moon on
stitched
the
arm. And then
inside.
the inside,
Yeah.
right. So I didn't realize that it was a moon on the inside. I just thought it was like her first attempt of trying to stitch. I just thought she was just really bad at
No,
like, so it did not swing for me that that was the moon until I saw him. And then I was like, oh, it's a
it's the
thing for just,
moon. Yeah.
it's the moon. So I didn't twit. That took me a minute to catch
hmm
on to, but then I was like, "Oh, that's so." Then that was a nice wee layer to that too. That he
hmm
understood it when he looked in and then held on to it. And then she says nice things in that episode too. She says, I think this is her because I've written this down. She says, all these days it's been like walking through darkness alone. No one noticed my existence. No one cared about my joys or sorrows. No cheers and no apologies, happiness or grief, beginnings or endings. It was a story about a lonely person until one day someone noticed me. I just thought, oh my gosh,
Mm.
that's like so true. She's just been on her own. She's been on her own fighting through everything like she's just
Yeah,
never had
yeah,
anyone to depend on and to be able to finally maybe relax a little bit and just know that
yeah.
somebody cares about her enough to care if she lives or dies or
Yeah.
and it's a good kiss in that episode because like she
It
kisses him
is.
he sort of is
Yeah.
startled by it, and then
He kisses her back.
he
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
goes for
No,
it. Yeah.
we do have a really good kiss scene. And then like following that in episode 30, um, there it's finally all hell is breaking kind of loose.
Hmm.
And I will say this does drag on. Like the scene where she's taking everybody down in the throne room, it takes like I don't know, it's spread over like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's this, but it is like, I was like, look, I get it. It's taken us 30 episodes to get here, but do we really need 3 episodes of this? However, he does kind of like stand his ground and he says in front of everybody, he says, I respect her, value her, and won't let anyone slander her. She graces my view, occupies my mind, and claims my heart. And I'm like, look, that's a man in love right there.
Hmm.
Literally, telling everybody. And then so that's what he says in front of everybody when they're trying to bully the female lead because she's a female. And the emperor ends up like asking the empress, and the empress says,
Jeez.
she says, we have lots of soldiers, but very few great generals. Our nation would lose a great soldier. And the emperor goes on to say, the empress also fought alongside him and awards the female lead a marquise title. And I'm like, that's such a good scene because it's like it's her work paying off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I loved it.
I also like the
Um,
fact that the Empress spoke for her. I've actually written in my notes, "Woo, women supporting women,"
yeah,
because
yeah,
we love to see the girls coming through for each other.
yeah.
I liked that too, and the fact that actually this is another. See in this scene, that's also the moment where Zhou speaks up against his master, and he kind of corroborates like her story, right?
Hmm.
And it's after the emperor has announced that he knows that she's a woman because Xiao Jue has told
Already
him
told
all
her.
that
Yeah,
time ago,
yeah, yeah.
and it's not a surprise, and so their kind of ace card that they think they've got isn't no longer an ace card. Um, but even in that moment, so Chu Jiao does kind of speak up on her behalf, and he puts himself in a position where it's difficult because he goes against his master and does the right thing. So for him to do that, and that's after Xiao Jui has stood at the front and spoken to the emperor and basically said he loves her, right?
Yeah.
So it's no secret that the two of them are like in love with each other. And then Chu Zhao still makes a decision to do the right thing and speak up for her. So then it's a
And
weird character turnaround that he then goes, do you know what I mean? Then starts to kind of plot against them again. It's like, well, why did you
they
do that right
undo,
thing?
yeah, they undo his character kind of development at that point, which is
Ah,
incredibly annoying. And then the other thing that we can sort of skip around to sort of the end and like how that was handled, it's the fact that the male lead, one of the most frustrating decisions is that the male lead just kind of goes to her and hands her like this edict that she's supposed to marry somebody else. And there's
oh,
no like communication. I get it that he was forced into that. That's not like, I don't have a problem with that. The what I do have a problem with, it's the fact that he's ready to walk away from her rather than like have a conversation with her. And the thing is,
hmm.
they have worked on their communication, and throughout the drama they've communicated with each other. So it was very frustrating for me, and it felt like we were just like those last 2, 3 episodes with like Chu Zhao choosing a completely different path and like trying to get them separated and like trying to force her into a marriage with him almost. And then like with our male lead basically like being ready to walk away from her because he didn't want her to have to give up everything she had worked for. It's like I don't understand. It
Why you couldn't
feels
have had
like
a
you're just
conversation about
feel yeah, because it
just have it.
feels like you're just filling episodes up.
Yeah.
It's very unnecessary.
I mean,
And it's like,
at least that does resolve itself relatively quickly. Like
mhm,
his brother kind of helps him realize quite quickly that like oh, actually you can't walk away from this. Like you just have to find a way to be with her even if you can't get married. Like and then they
mhm,
do kind of like agree quite quickly on, and it's the fact that he has to deliver the edict to her and she's in her wedding clothes. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Just like, oh my
Ready
gosh.
to marry him. It's
Oh,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
just
yeah.
and she and he yeah, and I kind of get the thing of, oh, he's maybe he thinks that he has to deliver it like coldly and like that, because if he doesn't, then he won't, like he won't have the strength to go through with it if he has to stop and think about it. So he has to like steel himself and just be
Hmm.
really cold or whatever, so that he can actually walk away. Because if he gives even an inch of himself to his emotions, he'll defy the emperor, and he'll, like, maybe if you're given the benefit of the doubt, then that's the
Yeah, but
reason.
still.
But still,
Yeah, but
yeah.
still, yeah. So that was uh, a little bit annoying for me. But this is where you see like her strength because she's in front of like Chu Zhao and she says to the Emperor in episode 35, I know you're just trying to prevent two military powers from joining, so I won't marry Xiao Ju, but I won't marry Chu Zhao either. If I can't
Hmm.
marry the one I love, I would rather be alone for the rest of my life. And it's like, it's where you see her quiet strength, her resilience. And this moment, she truly shines way more than the males because the males are just being ridiculous. And she's
Hmm.
just like, look, it's fine. I just won't marry anybody alike.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like,
So,
and the weakness of the men in that scenario, because they're so scared
mhm,
of like the strength of the two of them
mhm,
united, that
mhm,
they would
mhm,
rather keep
mhm.
them separated, you know?
But also, it's the fact that she's like, I have abdicated far too much in my life to be forced into a marriage that I don't want and with
Yeah.
somebody that I don't love. And she refuses to give that up. So,
And
yeah, I
credit to the
enjoyed.
emperor, he doesn't force her to marry him either. Like, it's not like
No,
he then
no.
says, well, you have to because I said so.
But he's a bit of an idiot as well.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's so scared that people are going to come after his throne. It's just like, come on, dude.
When those two have really
Um,
done nothing but prove, like, time and time again,
how
how
loyal they
loyal they
are.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what do you mean? We don't want nothing to do with this. Like, we just want to protect the borders, be with our
And
soldiers.
just,
Like, that's all we really
yeah.
want.
It's
So,
it's
so yeah.
but you know what? Like, their partnership is like, there are some really amazing moments, and there's a moment, I forget what episode it's in, but there's a moment where they, like, something happens and they have to go and like do something. It's when they're trying to like, you know, bring their revenge plot to or a fruition, or is it just after it's happened and they're making some decision about a battle, and Xiao Jui says to Huyan, "You seem to have a plan. How can I help?" And I,
Mm-hmm.
like, there are a few moments like that where I'm like, I love it. Do you know what it made me think of? This is like actually going back to Disney again, but have you seen Frozen 2? Have you seen that?
I have.
So there's this moment in Frozen 2 where like they're like, it's all dramatic, and like they have to sort of distract these big giants or something so that they can break a dam or something, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
but then Anna nearly dies, and Kristoff at the last minute like rides past and grabs her up onto the horse and kind of saves her life, right? But rather than it being this big moment where he's like the big hero, he just goes, "I'm here. What do you need?"
Yeah,
He like
exactly.
hands it over to her. And it's the same in that. It's like, you seem to have a plan. Like, how can I help? Rather than it just being like,
Yeah,
I'm the man, I've got like, he
yeah.
truly trusts her,
It's
you know?
collaboration, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
like you said, it's true trust and it's being able to recognize the capabilities of each other and like you've got this. It's the kind of man that will stand by your side rather than in front of you. Like he'll
Hmm.
protect you if
Hmm.
he needs to, but he knows you can protect yourself
Hmm.
mainly. So yeah, and that kind of like leads nicely into like the last the last like battle scene in episode 36, which was also like, why do we need it? But good, we're here again.
So they look
Um,
really cool fighting together.
I will say, I was going to say, they looked really good fighting side by
They
side, and
did,
it
they
was
did.
great. Like him in his black, her in her white.
Yeah.
So they looked like that contrast, like night and day. Like their contrast was very, very nicely. Her coming in on like her white horse coming to his
Do you
rescue
know,
was
I
just
wrote that down. I
great.
was like, oh my gosh, like that's a hell of a a hell of an image,
Now,
her riding in on a white horse.
Now, do we really need the 5, 10 second stare when there's a whole battle
I
going
know.
on around you?
Like, guys, look alive, come on.
I'm like, this is not safe. This is not. Oh, is everybody else in the battle just ignoring the fact that you two are locked in and like are ignoring everything else? Like, again, it's one of those moments where you kind of have to suspend your belief, but regardless, look, overall, I thought it was what it was. Their wedding scenes, their wedding outfits were really beautiful at the end of episode, 36. And like you said, that ending scene for me was really, really nice, where they're kind of both on their horses, staring at the moon. And that's just a very beautiful, thing. I do say in the book, from what I gather in the book, they do end up getting married and whatnot, but they have a little kid and it's a little
Ah.
girl and you get to see all of that. So
But
that wasn't
they
clear.
do have there is a baby. In the end, it's not their baby, but because actually that's one of the things I wrote down about is that the last episode? Yeah. Is we were getting to the end there and we were like nearly getting off scot-free. Like almost everyone was surviving, and I was like, this is not like a normal historical.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That wasn't necessary in
I
my
know.
opinion.
And then so then her kind of other friend, general friend, dies.
Guys,
But
yeah.
there is a nice moment where like they're talking about the baby, and she says to the wife, the widowed wife, the baby can grow up to be a general like her father. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, she can now because of you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
because you've shown her she can do it because you're the
Yeah.
female general. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. That's like a nice
Yeah, that
moment.
is cool.
It was a
Yeah,
daughter,
that
and then
is.
she was like, she can grow up to be a general just like her dad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked that.
A very unnecessary death in my opinion, but
Well, someone had to die. Like there hadn't been enough deaths for
true.
a historical.
True.
Like everyone had got off
True.
quite scot-free, really. Actually, so
This is very true.
I
This
think
is very
they must have
true.
got to the end and just be like, oh, we'll have to kill someone. Like it's just who do we not
Somebody
care
has to go. Yeah.
about?
Um, I think that's it from me. I don't really think I have anything else to say. I'll just end on, for me personally, saying, like I said, there was a lot of things to enjoy, but there was a lot of too many times where you had to suspend your belief, and the writing could have been a little bit tighter, a little bit shorter. Like I said, overall, it's an enjoyable watch. Will I rewatch or even think about this drama a year down the line? Probably not, but it's one that I, still overall enjoyed. What about you, Laura? What are your last closing thoughts for this?
I think I'm always going to make time for a drama where I think there's going to be strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it enough to keep watching it, but not enough that I would necessarily want to go back. I might go back and rewatch like the odd scene, like
Mm-hmm.
Do you still love the moon? Or I love the
Yeah.
moon and the moon doesn't know. Those things, like I think maybe will be like the classic things that come from it. But I, like you, I think I probably won't dwell on it a great
Mm-hmm.
deal. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And I thought, she was a cool character, and I liked the fact that it made me think of Mulan because I love Mulan.
Mm, me too.
But yeah, I think overall it's definitely worth a watch if you like that sort of thing and you, you know. But I wouldn't be rushing. I wouldn't be rushing to like prioritize it. That's what I would say, I think.
No, I agree. I agree. And I think that is it. That is the episode. Laura, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast and
Thank you
joining
so
me
much
for
for
this
having me.
review.
I
You're
always have so
welcome
much fun.
anytime. You're welcome anytime. You know that. And that is it, guys. This has been another episode of the Tea and Soju podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we shall catch you next time. Bye.